We're live. I am your host, Shon Black. Throwing it back. It is TV Show Friday. It is TV Show Friday where we will be discussing all of your TV shows that you watch. Me, but I, your humble podcast correspondent, hasn't been watching the shows that I said I was going to watch because what I've been watching is Bridgerton. Sorry. And I got to give my shout out to Netflix because they did drop 4 episodes yesterday. So your humble correspondent stayed up until like 1:30 last night, binging, whistle down, getting whistled down. Okay, your humble correspondent stayed up, watching Lady whistle down, and I had to do it. It was important that I did it. And so I have to say this, that what a great show. I know there's some of you that did not watch. Shame on you. Okay. Shame on you. But I did. I watched. And instead of what I will do is, instead of me talking about the show, because I know there was a lot of you that did not watch. I know this. I know this is a thing about. I know it's about, shows you're watching. So please feel free to tell me what you're watching. But your humble correspondent watched with Bridgerton last night. By the way, go out there and get you some Liquid Death. Liquid Death in stores. The lime is my favorite. The orange is good too, but the lime is where it's at. And yeah, Lady Whistledown was there, and Colin Bridgerton was there, and Benedict Bridgerton was there. The whole cast. But I don't want to talk about the actual show just because some of you didn't watch, okay? What I think I want to talk about today is the world in which the Bridgertons live in. I think I'm more fascinated, not so much by the show, but by how people lived in that era, right? Everything was an event if you had money. But everything was an event, right? You went down there and you and your people or whatever, you were there was a season where you had balls and you had parties and you went to the hunting club and you went here and you went there. And I think that in itself, that's interesting, right? But also, there was a level of respect for oneself. You couldn't be ruined, because if you were ruined in society, you could not join society. You couldn't, you couldn't take on a wife that didn't come from good stock, a good background. A woman couldn't take a man that didn't come from good background. You had to be from a good family. Your stock and your value. And even if you weren't a part of the aristocracy, or you wasn't a part of the people who really had that money, there was still something said about coming from a good background. There were certain things that you couldn't, like, you just couldn't be, you could not be from a good background, and people took that seriously. Today we don't take that seriously. We'll just marry anybody. We don't care who we marry. We be like, yeah, son, you know what? I'm just gonna marry this chick. We'll go ahead and we'll have kids with anybody. We'll marry anything. It just doesn't matter. But back in the day, there was a level of decorum, and I think that's what I really like about those type of shows. Another one is The Tudors. Just seeing the gracefulness of people and how they react. Now, the Regency period, which I believe that the Bridgerton show is based in, the Regency period was really, really, really good. And there's a famous author. I don't know what her name is. Um, but a lot of people enjoy the Regency period. There's a guy out in uh, London. I believe he's since come to America, but that's he used to dress in that every day on the trains at his job, dressed like a Regency gentleman. Could you imagine if people actually really got back to doing that? Dressing like gentlemen and dressing like ladies and wearing not so much the same type of clothes, but you put on that coat with the little thing wrapped up here like this, and you had the collars up there like that, and you were in society, and there were rules. I think that that's dope. Personally, I think that people should go back to that. If you don't want to go back to the dress, at least let's go back to living in like where there were things that were shunned. Like you couldn't do certain things because you would be shunned out of society. And I do believe that the royals and stuff still live that way. I believe that they still live that way, and I believe that the ultra rich still live that way. The ones that come from old money. I'm not talking about the new money guys like Bill Gates and Elon Musk and all those type of people, but the Astors and the Carnegies and those type of people, you know what I mean? The Hiltons and all. They all come from that old money system, and there's still a way in society that you still have to act. What up? What up? I didn't. So I decided, Keita, that I wasn't really gonna talk about the Bridgertons, the show, but I was just gonna talk about the how they lived in their society, the society that they lived in, and why I think today that particular society should be back in play. And I think that sometimes that the royal family and the people who live, you know, in the well-to-do areas, the ones that have old money, still live that way. So I saw a show. It wasn't even a show. It was like a documentary. You know what? A lot of people didn't watch it. They waited. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait. And I needed to see what Colin Bridgerton and them was doing. I needed to know what Sophie was doing. Um, but I saw a show last, maybe it's about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and there was these group of black families that live out in Maryland, a light skinned family, and they're doctors, they're lawyers, like, and these people have had money since the early 1900s, right? And so you just can't marry anybody when it comes to that. They won't have their children um living in that kind of thing. They're not with it. And so I think that people in general should get back. Your families, number one, you shouldn't come out looking crazy. You should set standards and how that you should go out looking on a daily basis. Two, you should also have standards and how your kids marry and who they interact with. Not to say you kind of tell them what to do, but you kind of tell them what to do. Three, how you move in the streets is you should move a certain way. And that's what I love about the show, because everybody kind of moves in the same way because society forces them to do it. They can't do and say what they want. They have to live by a code. And I believe that people should still live by a code. I believe that. I believe that it's fascinating to me. I would like to have seen that with my own eyes. I mean, you can go to museums and look at all of that kind of stuff, but I would love to see that people in those dresses, men in those in the pageantry of it, right? The balls and all of that kind of stuff. Now you kind of just don't have anything like that. And society, in my opinion, is crumbling because we don't have any boundaries. But I loved it. The Bridgerton show, I think it ended well. For those that you that didn't watch, I think it ended well. I think that if you're a fan, you'll love it. If you're just getting into it, I believe you need to start at Queen Charlotte. So you do the whole season of Queen Charlotte, then go from not episode one, because the first season of the first Bridgerton was crazy, but the second one all the way up to present date is great. You know how the most cultures have the certain status to marry into family. That's right. Someone told me that they have a caste system in their culture, and they can't just marry anybody. Your last name matters. Where your dad and your mom work matter. Like they can't just marry you. Like they're like, well, a guy. She said this guy wanted to marry her, and she couldn't marry him because they're in a caste system, and their caste system said that this dude's last name ain't it, and so because his last name wasn't it, she couldn't marry him. Which I find that but and it sounds crazy, right? But think about how that protects your legacy as a man, and then going forward protects your children in a way that keeps them in this line of succession for success. When you just get there and you marry anybody, you you wind up in some crazy situations, you know, because the heart because the heart wants something doesn't mean that it's good. It's like every rose has your thorn. Every rose has its thorns, right? But everything that looks good ain't good for you. All of us know this. So I think that the Bridgerton joint is a good example of how the old world and how your name meant something, and gossip would destroy you if you weren't like above, and you couldn't show your face in society. Like society, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, so I'm glad to see you back in society." But society was their world that they lived in, where they had parties and they did pageantry and all this other kind of stuff, and they dressed a certain way and they danced a certain way. What was crazy is I saw the ladies, had these dance cards, and the dude, she was like, "Oh yeah, he's like, well, will you? Can I make the pleasure of having this dance with you?" And then he wrote on her dance card, and but these ladies couldn't be out without a chaperone, and the chaperones would have them, and they would meet, and they wouldn't be alone, and there was no funny business, even though that there was funny business, right? But in public, that's what it looked like. In private, they probably did all kinds of crazy stuff. Like some African cultures, they offer females to family for money. Yeah, so I knew another girl who lived a couple houses down from me, and her parents basically sold her to a dude that was like twice double her age. She was like 15 years old. They sold her straight into a marriage. He's probably like 30. He's probably like 35, something like that when you know. I mean, it just is what it is. When back in those cultures, they do stuff like that. But they're trying to. Some of them, it's about the money, right? And that's the danger of it. Like some cultures is about the money, but I think the old world system was more or less about the money because they all had bread. It was, I'm marrying you because you're the Duke of this, or you're the second Earl of that, or you're Lord such and such of this, or you're Sir that, or you're Lady of this, and your dad is Lord something of that. Like, they're marrying to mingle the families together so they can get that bread. That's what they really wanted, right? They really want to they want to mingle those families together. And so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for the families. You're looking for all these people to come in. Um, you're looking for people to come in you know, and that's what the old world was about. The old world was about that. And I think that Bridgerton, in a more gossipy way, kind of shows you how serious that old world was, that old money was. You know what I mean? And then if you want to get into more of the political, marry you because you politically driven type of thing, you watch a show like The Tudors. You know, Mary Queen of Scots, the red was it the White Queen, and all of those kind of shows. You watch those shows for the more the political angle of it. But when you just want to just look at the how they just married each other because they had this world system that they lived in, Bridgerton is the show. Bridgerton is the show. Um, and it's interesting. So enough about what I'm talking about. What else is everybody watching? This is TV Fridays. Now that I've finished the Bridgerton series, now that I've done that, I need some more suggestions. I might start Fire Country. I heard that that's good. Plus, I like the actor, the guy who's the lead in there. He was Clay on SEAL Team, and so and then you said Doc, and I know the guy from Fallen Skies is in that show Pit. That's on HBO. I might start watching that too, as well. Cause I really think that Pit show, I think that joint would be what's up. You know. So I'm super interested in that. Super interested. I've been watching Love Is Blind. Love Is Blind. Look, I don't I don't hate those shows. I just can't. I like the pretend drama on Bridgerton and all that. That other stuff is insane. Like, you can only do but so much because how much of it is scripted, right? How much of it is scripted and how much of it isn't. And that's what I be looking at. It's like, okay, I want to watch that, but do I really want to watch that? I don't know. But I don't hate it. Like, I don't hate it. And then like Sister Wives and all that. The Pit. I want to watch The Pit because The Pit has the guy from Fallen Skies in that joint. And Fallen Skies was a good show all the way up till the end. And they messed the whole joint up. Yeah, you said originally. Well, yeah, because at a certain point, right? They take the realness out of it, and they start doing it for the for the bread. And he said Sister Wives was a lie. Remember, we used to watch that show. What was the joint with Bill Paxton where they were polygamous, and I think they were in Utah, one of those places. And then Yeah, that what was the name of that show, Fly Puerto Rican, where they were polygamous and the guy had the three wives and they had the houses connected to each other. I can't think of the name of the show, but that guy, the actor's name was Big Love. That's what it was, Big Love. See, they played off of that Big Love. Big Love was the joint. Remember that joint? He owned like a Walmart or something like that, or a Home Depot, but it wasn't called Home Depot. He made it his own joint. So he had his own like store and all of that. Big Love was what was up. And Bill Paxton wound up passing away. No, rest in peace to the dude Bill Paxton. Um, but yeah, he's a good actor. He's a good actor. Oh yeah, he said that's where it came from. They found a real family. That's all they did is they found a real family and put them on TV. But see, the guy, I guess the guy Cody wasn't really like nice um with that. Said watch suddenly Amish. You know, the Amish are interesting. I think I could probably watch that for a little while. Maybe for a season or two. I could probably watch Suddenly Amish for a season, and then they would get on my nerves because then they would have to script it out, right? But if it's just like a regular TV show, like it's produced and it's meant for TV, and it's not like real Amish, but people depicting to be that or whatever, then I could watch that. Like that'll what's up. Because remember they had the Amish Mafia. Oh, say they are. So it's not. So it's just actors pretending to be Amish. Okay, so I could watch that. You said you saw it. It said it's real people going Amish. Oh snap! So are they like? So is it like a reality show where they're like real, but they like win money at the end for going Amish, or they just deciding that they're going to live like it's 1346 and they ain't got no power or nothing like that? Let me know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I gotta check it out. I mean, look, I'm always down to check out a new show. I'm always down. I tell people I got game and TV show ADHD. I be playing games and switching off of games, and I do the same thing with TV shows. I just kind of switch off, boom, boom, boom. I'll just switch. Like, hey, Mrs. P, what's up? Um, I was watching Euphoria. Have you ever seen that show, Euphoria? Euphoria is a good show. I think that comes on Showtime, I believe. It might be HBO. It's one of those stars, Showtime. It's one of those premium shows. It has Zendaya from the Disney Channel. That joint is crazy, but it's about like this chick is an addict, and it's just about all the stuff addicts be going through, and that joint is off the chain. It's called Euphoria. If you ever get a chance, watch that. Um, it's what? No, and it looks with tots. I don't know what that. It looks weird. Yeah, Euphoria is a weird show, but it's from the mind of an addict. Like so, everything that they do and go through, that's what it is. Like it, Euphoria it's a good show. It's rough. It could be rough. They got some rough scenes in that joint. Is rough. You know what I mean? If you're the type that can't handle certain kinds of like certain things bother you, Euphoria isn't your show. But if you can just watch stuff objectively and be like, yeah, I'm not into any of that, but I understand where they were trying to go with the show, then you can watch stuff like Euphoria. You can definitely watch Euphoria. Euphoria is one of those type of shows. Um, what else? I want to get, like I told Keita, I want to get into Pitt. I like a good. I heard that Chicago, all of the Chicago's are good. We discussed that before. I'm definitely going to try to get into those, but I need something with some action. You know what I didn't finish? Oh, I don't know. I've never heard of that. What's it called? Schlitz Creek? I never heard of that. I'm gonna have to check that out. What show that what platform is that on? I'm also a big Star Wars fan. I'm a big Star Wars and Star Trek. So all of the Star Trek discoveries and all that, I got through a couple of seasons of that. But I need to go back and figure that out. And for all of those that just jumped into the YouTube, we were talking about uh Bridgerton, but a lot of people haven't seen it yet. And if you have anything, if you've seen it, jump into the comments and let me know, you know what I'm saying, what you thought of it if you've actually watched it. Um HBO Max. Okay, cool. I'm definitely going to watch that. If you haven't watched the guy from The Office that is the he plays in this Tom Clancy joint. Um what is the name of that show? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's on Prime Video. Let me go. I'm about to pull that up real quick because that is a dope show. That on Prime is is what's up. Let's see. I was watching Jack Ryan. That's it. Jack Ryan is dope. If you like espionage, Jack Ryan is your show. Also, let me tell you, look, told you I like period pieces. Outlander is my show. I love Bridgerton. Outlander is another one that's a close second. I think I can't say I think I like them equally the same. They're both it's more of the political, right? But it kind of shows you where a lady of the gist is. There's a lady goes, she's in the 1940s or the 1930s. It's probably the 1940s because I think it's around World War II. She is in Scotland with her husband. She's a British chick. Her and her husband are there and they're on vacation and she goes out and she finds they're out exploring and she sees some stones. Looks kind of like Stonehenge, right? So she sees these stones and she walks up to them and she touches it. She hears this sound that's like a buzzing, like a hum. She goes up and she touches the stones and she passes out. When the chick wakes up, she's in 17 something. And she tries to go back to where her husband was at. She doesn't see the road. She's walking, and all of a sudden, dudes start shooting at her. Pop, 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 but they're redcoats. So she's running and she figures out she gets scooped up by these Scottish dudes, and the whole journey begins. It's called Outlander. Outlander is one of the dopest shows that's out. Okay? On the same line as the Bridgerton joint, but it's more action. It's more about not politics, but it's more about how people really lived back then, and it's got more historical stuff going on because a lot of a lot of history in that. And Outlander is a good show. Jamie and Claire, bro, you gotta get your Jamie and Claire on. Know what I mean? Jamie and Claire, they get busy. That's a joint. Jack Ryan is another one that's good. Um, the Peripheral, that was a good joint. I'm mad it only lasted one season, but that was also a good show. You know what show I didn't like? Oh, She said, I just got a text from the fly Puerto Rican that one of our people who are watching right now is watching the Bridgerton joint, the second part of it, and she's crying her eyes out. Listen, man, I'm telling you, Bridgerton is that jam. Said Memory of a Killer and Paradise are good shows. Yet, son, Paradise. Let's talk a little bit about Paradise. Paradise is one of those shows that just the main characters in that show, especially the lady who plays, I forget her name in the show, but anyway, she's like the main villain. Bro, she plays that joint so good that if I saw her in the street, I'd snuff her. Snuff you just because you played it so good. I believe you are that person. It's another person that's like that for me who played Anna Lucia in Lost. You know what her last name is, Rodriguez. She was the same person that plays in the Fast and the Furious as the girlfriend, the Spanish girl. I to this day do not like her in anything because of the joint that she played in Lost as Anna Lucia. Anna Lucia in Lost is probably the worst person ever to live. She did play it good. She played it so good, I can't stand her face. I don't watch anything that she's in. As a matter of fact, I don't think I even seen most of the shows with her in it. Like Fast and Furious is one of them, right? Fast and Furious, she was in that. I didn't watch any of that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't watch the Fast and Furious just because she was in it. She made me sick. Anna Lucia messed up a lot of stuff, man. Because when you a Lost fan, and those of you that might be a little younger and you have not watched Lost, you are missing out on one of the best shows to ever hit the TV screen. Besides 24. 24 and Lost are the shows that were the ones that, in my opinion, invented the cliffhanger. They were the shows that you watched and that you couldn't wait to come back the next day. Lost was so good. I called one of my good friends, Mina, on a Wednesday night. Called her up, yo, Mina, what's good? How you doing? She's like, yo, Shon Black, I love you, but don't ever call me on a Wednesday again at 7:30 when Lost is on, and hung up on me. Bloop. I couldn't believe it. I was like, yo, and at this time, I watched shows, but I wasn't really into shows like that. Black was doing other things. I had some time on my hands. Okay. I go and I said, well, let me see what this Lost is about. At that time, I was into downloading from news bin sites. Those of you who know what a news bin site is. So I went to the news bin site and I downloaded the first season of Lost and burnt them to a disc. Those of you who know if you've been in that era where there was disc when you could buy the rewritables and burn them from your computer onto a disc. That was the era of Lost. So I go and I burn it to a disc. I sit at my computer and I watch the first season of Lost. And bro, I was hooked. I watched 3 seasons in 2 weeks. It's the first time I had ever done a binge watch. Again, Shon Black didn't watch TV like that. Watch shows, when you were a kid, you come in, you watch your cartoons, you did your thing, you watched this or that or the other thing, and you didn't really care about done. Shon Black, Binge, Lost. And then we were hooked. Every Wednesday night, we were watching Lost. I gave it to my aunt, she was hooked. Gave it to my cousin, he was hooked. My wife started watching it, she was hooked. Everybody I knew, I was giving them CDs of Lost, 3 seasons. Bond, take that. You need to watch Lost. Lost is one of the best shows that ever hit the TV screen. The ending, eh. But leading up to that, Saeed and all of them. Lost was a great show. Great show. Then we discovered 24. I believe we watched every day. We would come home. My wife was pregnant with our second kid at the time. We would come home from work, make dinner, go upstairs to the bedroom, lay in the bed, and watch 24 until like 3 in the morning. Wake up, go to work, come home, and we did this every day for weeks. Because by the time we had started watching 24, it was already on Netflix. So I think there was already 5 or 6 seasons of 24, and there was 24 episodes in the season, and each one was an hour long. We was killing that joint for weeks, watching 24. And that's how I kind of built into watching like these shows. And then I went back and watched Entourage, which is another great show. If you haven't watched Entourage, you missing something. Entourage was an era that people just needed to go. Like Entourage is that joint. I could sit back, I just go back in time. But that led me to where I'm at now. I'm watching currently over 40 shows, maybe. Not including anime. All right, just TV shows. I would rather watch a TV show than watch a movie. To be honest with you, I'm most like I'm more about the movies than I am. I mean, more about the TV shows than the movies. And so they got some good stuff out there right now. Yellowstone, that's another one that I haven't finished because I've been bouncing around. Yellowstone is a great show. Then they have a spinoff that is already spun off into something. I don't know. I also was watching hood dramas, the ones that are on YouTube. Now, if you're into those, as I was, Money and Violence is probably one of the best ones that was shot by just regular people trying to make money on YouTube. That and Respect Life. Those two hood dramas are one of the best ones that you got that got good stories. There's another one that's out of New Jersey, but I can't remember the name of the show itself. One of my friends was in the background in that show. But yeah, you had those. And I mean, it's just the journey that it takes you on. It's great. Is there anything else y'all watching before I end the show? Cause we need to. So I'm watching The Pit next Friday, where I'll be talking about The Pit. I'm gonna also watch the other one, the Amish show that Keita was talking about, and we'll try to end His and Hers. I heard good things about His and Hers, but Bridgerton, that's the joint. Everybody needs to go watch that. Everybody needs to go watch Bridgerton. Bridgerton is one of the best shows, best dramas that's out. And I'm gonna give you a bonus show. Something that's going to take you a long time to watch if you can do subtitles. If you can't do subtitles, don't even worry about it. But if you can do subtitles, Darlene said, where is Sophie's necklace? Listen, Listen. You tell Darlene to jump in the chat. You tell Darlene to jump in the chat. I will not. We will discuss it. As a matter of fact, we will take some time out on Monday to discuss a little bit of what's going on the Bridgerton, okay? With Sophie's necklace, I'm not saying a word. My lips are sealed. You'll watch. You'll respect Bridgerton. You'll respect Sophie. You'll respect Benedict. You will respect them. And watch. You'll watch. Ha ha. I love it. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? I always try to keep the show about 40 minutes long. Take care of yourself and others. Peace, love. Shout out to everybody that came in the chat. Keita was here. Dez was here. You know what I'm saying? Fly Puerto Rican was always here. All of you guys that were over there on YouTube, I had a lot of people on YouTube just watching, but they weren't in chat. Everybody that was over there on YouTube, shout out to you. All of you people that are on Kick and Twitch, shout out to you. Also, we are going to that's right. We're going to keep the TV show going next Friday, always. 7:30s. 7:30s. You hear me? 7:30s. 7:30, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. TV shows on Friday. We might do a little something extra on Monday because that's what we do. We do it for the people. If you guys want it, talk about it. We will talk about it. Those of you that catch up, let me know so we can get it because I'm dying to discuss. I'm dying to discuss the ending. You tell Darlene I am dying to discuss the ending. Keita, I'm dying to discuss it. And I want your thoughts on what's happening, but I can't get into it because you haven't watched. Fly Puerto Rican, you need to watch. Those of you that are online right now listening to the sound of my melodious voice, you need to watch. As always, peace, love. Wrong hand. We will be back on Monday, 7:30. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I love you all. Take care of yourself and others. That's how we always end it.